Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Williams, Amy's VP of Standards, and I have here with me today Ralph Basile, Standards Corporate Executive at Healthmark, a Getting a Company. And today we're going to talk about why your organization should participate in standards development. So, Ralph, welcome.
Yep. Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, you and other staff at your company are very active in the standards development process across a number of standard developing organizations. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep. Yep. We're, of course, Amy is our first and the one that we're most active in, but, and it's also led to being involved in ISO standards as a U.S. representative or expert from Amy, ANSI Amy. We do participate in also in ASTM, and there's a lot of, I'd say a lot of overlap, not in or complementary standards, because in ASTM you tend to develop test methods, and we develop test methods then support AAMI standards. I always 11607, the packaging standard, ISO packaging standard. There's a number of ASTM test methods that are used to demonstrate compliance to 11607 as an example. And I could go on. Protective tire is another. Protective barrier, PB70.
Right.
There's again a number of test methods that are developed by the ASTM Protective Attire Group, F23, to demonstrate compliance with PB70. So, and I could go on down the line like that. Yeah.
So, why does your company participate so actively in these
Yeah.
organizations?
So, first of all, we're in a regulated space, right? Healthcare is regulated, and then we're very involved in device reprocessing, particularly clinically used devices, and standards like ST79, ST91. I've been with we're working on with the ST61 group on developing new standard for UV disinfection. And I could go on down the line, but those standards are really important to our business from the standpoint that we're delivering products that comply with what is considered best practices in the industry. And I'll give you an example of how I got involved actually with Amy in I think it was like 2001. We introduced some cleaning verification products, and these are the tools to determine whether you're cleaning your washer disinfector, your sonic,
Right.
et cetera, are getting devices clean. And we'd go out and talk to, when we first started with it, we'd go out and talk to sterile processing managers, OR directors, et cetera. And we'd say, hey, cleaning is really important. And no one would argue with us. But then you would say, well, would you like to buy this little $6 test? And you're like, well, we don't have the budget for it. And then one of the things that always came was, what does Amy say? Amy. And I heard of Amy, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but I was not participating in standards. And that's really when came to Amy and started working with professionals that are on at that point work group 40, because it was really something that was going to end up in ST79 from cleaning verification. But that really introduced me to standards and importance of standards development, and again, best practices. So to kind of fast forward, it's somewhere along the line, at least for me, I think for a lot of people, you get involved with standards and you do it. It's got to be an economic reason, right? And we could talk about that some more, but there's got to be an economic reason to be here. But then at some point, depending on who you are, but it gets into your soul, and also becomes a way to participate generally improving the industry and improving practice. So what is so great is that at Amy, you're sitting with leaders that are with healthcare facilities, from FDA, regulatory agencies, EPA, CMS, et cetera here, other leading medical device companies, testing labs. So, I mean, you're shoulder to shoulder in the same room with folks that different stakeholders across the industry. And so the networking is really important, and you develop relationships with people, personal relationships, and then also relationships in improving the standards. So, well, that's it's a lot of times, you and I have talked about this. A lot of times, kind of these are the soft advantages of being in standards, but tremendously valuable, those relationships that you form and the networks that you form. I would say the other thing for a company, we were recently acquired by Getinga, but we're a small company, and yet we participated in Amy very across the board, and raised the visibility of of Healthmark within the industry. Again, we got to know people, and people knew Healthmark, and from the standpoint of it, people learn to trust Healthmark. Okay, we care. We're there to do the best thing. And I would describe this, other companies, other organizations that participate in AAMI the exact same way. So those are all the assets, the kind of the soft assets that I can point to as to why we participate.
Yeah, the relationship building and networking is definitely a key in developing standards.
Yep, yep, for sure.
Yeah, so what advice would you give to, say, an individual or even a company that, say, is not participating in standards development right now,
Yeah.
but wants to? How do they get involved?
Yeah. I guess I use myself as a model. You first of all, you can join. Let's say you're a small company or you're not already in AAMI, a member of AAMI. Can join as an individual, which is what I did originally, and just attend the meetings and just learn, see how an AAMI work group meeting goes, and you pretty much can. You can't be if you're from a company, you don't have a vote, but you can be in the room and learn and see whether there's value for you and your organization, and then maybe even where you would tie in at some point. If you're a company, you need to then have a corporate membership, and that is more expensive. But then on the other hand, you can also involve a lot more people from your company, a lot more folks, and become more involved. I mentioned you and I have talked about this before, and I'll bring this up on Friday too when we have our meeting. But I've asked our product management team and sales analysis team to go back, because I think there's specific. I know there are specific product categories where we can go and look. The standards very much drove or helped drive the usage of those products, the purchase of those products. And I won't go into specifics, but
Right.
it's if you're trying to convince the C-suite,
Mhm.
it's nice to have some numbers. So and there's a lot of times it's difficult, but in certain instances, where let's say a product is new, and it's tied very much to, let's say, a new standard, an update to a standard, then it's pretty easy to go back and say, hey, our revenue over this many years was this, and we spent this much to have people there, those kinds of things, and calculate an ROI. So I think that could be helpful too once you're into it, a company's into it.
Okay, so what do you think is the top thing for someone to keep in mind while they're participating, on a standards development committee or a working group?
Yeah, listen. I think it's a really important skill, is to listen to the other people in the room, because you will have different viewpoints from different stakeholders and different stakeholder groups, and even within the stakeholder groups, there's going to be differences. And so I think listening is a very important skill, because you're learning. I've never sat in any AAMI work group meeting where I didn't, after come out of learn something I didn't know before going in. That's just even, from a science standpoint or a regulatory standpoint or whatever. But so you want to listen. And then the other thing you want to do is, humility is good. I think it's good to be respectful of other people as you develop and share your own thoughts and opinions. When we're in AAMI meetings, you are here ultimately to represent your organization, maybe your stakeholder group within those meetings. But it's very, the goal is to get to consensus. So, listening and then working. And then the other thing is, during COVID, we weren't together, and the networking aspects, when we're not in the room together, and it's the evening and we go to dinner or lunch break or whatever. You also get a chance to talk to people in a more informal way, and that helps in the development of the standards as well as building relationships. So I think those are some of the important skills to bring to when you're participating in a work group.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap this up, you got any final thoughts you want to share when why it's important to just participate?
Yeah, I think I've shared a lot, but I will say it's also very rewarding from a career standpoint individually. So for me, my participation in AAMI is really the highlight of my career. I mean, and of course, it started out. I never imagined I would be there would be a co-chair of a work group. Never occurred to me. Never thought that I'd then end up, I'm on a couple of ISO work groups representing AAMI, ANSI AAMI. Never imagined that would happen. And then, of course, being involved with the board again, never envisioned that. It's been so rewarding. It's been so rich for me personally, and the relationships that I've been able to develop, and again, the things that the people that I've got to meet. So I'm not the same person I was when I went to my first AAMI meeting, 23 years ago. You learn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just from a career standpoint, it's really rewarding. I can tell you, I'm near the end, so I'm not looking to move anywhere else. But if you're in I wish I'd started earlier, but if you're in your 30s, maybe 20s is be great, but maybe it's too soon. But certainly if you're in your 30s or early 40s, this is a chance not only again to develop professionally, but you will make relationships that, maybe time has come for you to maybe go to another organization, another opportunity. Well, the networking that you do here will help do that. So as far as professional development, and it looks great on a CV too. So
It does.
yeah.
So again, Ralph, thank you for all you do for AAMI and all the participation you and your company have given to the standards development process over the years.
Yeah. No, it's a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank-
Yep. Thanks, man.